Welcome to the English Prep Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we're going to tackle something that, honestly, can make a huge difference in exams like IELTS and TOEFL. We're talking about essay planning and structure.
Yeah, absolutely. So many learners focus, quite rightly, on grammar and vocab.
Which are vital, definitely.
For sure. But sometimes we forget how crucial the actual organization is. It's not just what you say, but how you structure it that gets those top marks.
Right, like having great ingredients but no recipe.
Exactly. A clear plan, a solid structure. It's like a guide for the examiner. It helps them follow your thinking and see your points clearly.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The clock starts. You see the essay question.
Yeah.
What's the absolute first thing you should do? I'm guessing it's not just grabbing the pen and starting to write.
Definitely not. No, the critical first step really is to properly understand what the question is actually asking.
Sounds obvious, maybe.
It does, but you'd be surprised. Test takers often lose points because they misread the prompt, maybe answer something slightly different, you know?
Okay, so how do we avoid that trap? What are some practical ways to make sure we're getting it right?
Well, one really effective thing is to actively engage with the prompt. Don't just skim it. Underline the key words.
Keywords, like the main topic.
Yeah, the main topic, what specific aspect they want you to focus on, and crucially, the task word. Is it asking you to discuss, or agree, disagree, or maybe analyze a problem? And another good trick is to try rephrasing the question in your own words, just quickly, to yourself. If you can do that accurately, you've probably understood it.
That makes a lot of sense. So don't just glance, really break it down. Okay, what's next? We've understood the question. Now what?
Now comes the brainstorming.
Yeah.
But keep it brief, maybe just 2 or 3 minutes.
It's like jotting down ideas.
Exactly. Keywords, phrases, anything that comes to mind related to the prompt. Don't worry about full sentences yet.
And I remember hearing that it's better to have, say, 2 really strong ideas rather than like 5 weak ones.
Precisely. Quality over quantity is key here. 2 points that you can explain well and support with examples are much, much better than a lot of superficial ones the examiner can't really follow.
Okay.
So after that quick brainstorm, you look at your ideas, decide on your main argument or position.
Your thesis, baby.
Yes, your thesis.
Right.
Then pick the strongest points to back it up, choose some good examples, and think about the logical order.
Right, so this is where that simple outline comes into play, isn't it?
Exactly. Nothing too complicated, just introduction, where you paraphrase the question and state your thesis, then body paragraphs, each with a main idea and its support, and finally the conclusion. Summarize and give a final thought.
Okay, let's zoom in on the introduction for a second.
Right.
How do we make that really effective? It sets the tone, right?
Yeah, it really does. It's the first impression. So 2 key things.
Mm-hmm.
First, paraphrase the prompt, show you understood it, using your own words.
Not just copying it.
Definitely not. Second, state your thesis clearly. Your main argument or opinion needs to be right there, up front, no vagueness. The examiner needs to know where you stand from the get-go.
Okay, maybe an example. Let's say the prompt is something like, online learning is better than traditional classroom learning. Do you agree or disagree? How would a good intro sound?
Okay, well, you could start by rephrasing. The shift towards online education versus traditional classroom settings has become a major point of discussion. Something like that.
Okay, showing you get the topic.
Right. Then, state your position clearly. For instance, while online learning offers flexibility, I believe traditional classrooms provide invaluable face-to-face interaction essential for development. Or the opposite if you disagree. The point is, your stance is clear.
Got it. Paraphrase and position. Clear. Now, the body paragraphs, these are the core of the argument. Yeah. How do we build them properly?
Right. This is where you develop your points. Each body paragraph needs to focus on one single main idea that supports your overall thesis.
One idea per paragraph. Keeps it focused.
Exactly. And a good structure to follow within the paragraph is often called PEER or something similar. Point, explanation, example, result.
PEER. Okay, break that down.
Sure. P point. Start with a clear topic sentence stating the main idea of the paragraph. E explanation. Elaborate on that point, explain it further. E example. Give a specific example, maybe evidence or a scenario to illustrate your point. R result. Briefly link it back to your main argument or state the significance.
Point, explain, example, result. That's a really useful framework. And how do we make sure the paragraphs connect smoothly so it doesn't feel like a list of separate points?
Good question. That's where linking words and phrases are essential. They're like signposts for the reader.
Like firstly, secondly.
Yes, or in addition, Furthermore, however, on the other hand, consequently, therefore, they show the relationship between your ideas, adding a point, contrasting, showing a result.
So they guide the reader through the logic of your argument.
Precisely. They make your essay cohesive and much easier to follow.
Can we try an example paragraph using that peer structure?
Yeah.
Maybe sticking with the online versus traditional learning idea, arguing for traditional.
Okay, sure. Let's say the point is about communication skills. Topic sentence. Point. Firstly, traditional classrooms foster crucial face-to-face communication skills that are harder to develop online.
Okay.
Explanation. Students learn to read body language, engage in spontaneous discussions, and navigate group dynamics in real time.
Makes sense. Example.
Example. For instance, group projects in a physical classroom require immediate collaboration and negotiation, skills vital for future workplaces.
Yeah.
You could even add a hypothetical study result, if appropriate, like studies often show.
Right. And the result.
Consequently, this direct interaction prepares students more effectively for real-world social and professional environments, an advantage less pronounced in purely online settings.
That's really clear. Point, explanation, example, result. Builds a solid mini-argument. Okay, so we've got our introduction, our well-structured body paragraphs. Then we need to wrap it all up with the conclusion. What's its main job?
The conclusion needs to tie everything together neatly. Its main jobs are, first, to summarize your main points, but don't just repeat the topic sentences word for word. Rephrase them.
Okay, summarize briefly.
Second, restate your thesis, your main opinion, again in different words. Reinforce your position.
Drive the main point home one last time.
Exactly. And finally, try to leave the reader with a final thought, maybe a brief comment on the implications or the future, but keep it concise.
Concise is key, right? Not the place to introduce new ideas.
Absolutely not. Keep it short and focused. Usually 3, maybe 4 sentences are plenty.
So for our online learning example, how might a conclusion sound if we argued for traditional classrooms?
You could say something like, in conclusion, while online learning certainly offers convenience and access, the benefits of traditional classrooms in developing vital communication skills and fostering direct engagement remain significant.
Summarizing the main point.
Right. Then restate the thesis. Therefore, I maintain that the face-to-face environment provides a more holistic educational experience crucial for student development.
Okay.
And maybe a final thought. A balanced approach integrating the best of both methods might be ideal, but the value of the traditional classroom should not be underestimated. Something along those lines.
That ties it up nicely. Okay, so planning, structure, intro, body, conclusion. We've covered the architecture. What about the actual building blocks, the language itself, grammar and sentences?
Yes, extremely important. You can have a great structure, but if the grammar is weak or the sentences are confusing, it undermines everything. Correct grammar is, well, fundamental for clarity and getting a good score.
And sentence structure, is it just about being correct?
Being correct is the baseline. But to really impress, you need to show some variety. Mix it up. Use a combination of simple, compound, and complex sentences.
Can you give us a quick reminder of what those look like in this context?
Sure. Simple sentence. 1 independent clause. Traditional classrooms encourage interaction. Compound sentence. 2 independent clauses joined by a coordinator like and, but, so. Online learning offers flexibility, but it can sometimes feel isolating.
Okay. And complex.
Complex sentence. 1 independent clause and at least 1 dependent clause. Although technology provides vast resources, students may struggle with self-discipline when learning online. Using a mix shows grammatical range and sophistication.
That variety definitely makes the writing more engaging to read. But should we try and make every sentence super complex?
Oh, no, definitely not. That's a common trap. Clarity is always a priority. It's much better to write clear, correct sentences using a mix of structures than to try and write really long, complicated ones that end up confusing or containing errors.
Right. Keep it clear, mix it up naturally. Got it. Now, the big pressure point, time. These exams are timed, often quite strictly. How do we manage that effectively for essay writing?
Time management is absolutely crucial. You need a plan for your time, just like you need one for your essay. A good rule of thumb, maybe for a 40-minute essay task, is something like this. 5 minutes for planning.
Okay, the initial understanding and outlining.
Exactly. Then about 30 minutes for the actual writing.
The bulk of the time.
Right. And this is crucial. Leave the last 5 minutes for reviewing and editing. Don't skip this.
That 5-35 split sounds like a good target. And sticking to that outline we made must really help during the 30-minute writing phase.
Immensely. It keeps you focused, stops you from drifting off topic or just rambling to fill space. It's your guide.
What if you get stuck? Writer's block hits halfway through.
Yeah, that happens. Don't panic and don't stare at the page for 5 minutes. If you're stuck on a specific word or phrasing a sentence, just make a note, maybe leave a gap or write a simpler version, and move on. Keep the momentum going. You can try to fix it in the review time if there's a chance.
Good advice. Keep moving. And that final 5-minute review, you said it's crucial. What should we actually be looking for?
That review time is golden. It's your chance to catch silly mistakes that can cost points. You're looking for errors in grammar, subject-verb agreement, tenses, articles, spelling mistakes. Missing words, it's easy to leave out small words like a or the when writing quickly. And also check for clarity. Are there any sentences that are awkward or don't quite make sense?
So it's like a quick quality control check.
Exactly. Maybe have a quick mental checklist. Did I answer the whole question? Is the organization logical? Is each paragraph focused? Is the grammar generally okay? Did I vary my sentences a bit?
That sounds like a solid checklist for those final minutes.
Even finding and correcting a few small errors can bump up your score. It shows you care about accuracy.
Okay, so wrapping this all up then, it seems like mastering this planning and structure side of things isn't just like an optional extra.
Not at all. It's really fundamental to writing a strong essay under exam conditions. It actually makes the whole process feel less daunting, more manageable, and usually leads to a much better result. It saves you time in the long run, too.
Right, because you know where you're going. So
Yeah.
taking that time up front to understand the prompt, brainstorm, outline logically, it sets you up for success when you actually start writing.
Absolutely. And presenting those ideas clearly with good transitions in well-structured paragraphs, that's how you make sure your arguments land effectively with the examiner.
So the big takeaway for everyone listening is practice these steps. Don't just focus on writing practice, focus on planning practice too.
Exactly. Make outlining a habit. Time yourself doing it. The more you practice the planning and structuring, the more second nature it becomes. You'll feel much more confident on exam day.
Definitely. And maybe as you continue your English learning journey, think about what your biggest challenges are with essays. Is it the planning? Is it linking ideas? Knowing what works for you is part of the process too.